Well, hello and welcome to PM Express, and today we are talking at a very, very emotional subject. I think that's what it is, emotional something. Because there are so many people who complain about the port, about this and the port that, even though they themselves personally haven't experienced any service or probably directly imported anything, but we hear it so much that at the ports it's cumbersome and you need an agent and it takes days to clear your goods and sometimes it's too much. I mean, there's always some stories coming out of the port. Well, the vice president, some time ago said by 1st of September, they're going to have a paperless transaction at the port, which obviously, when they say paperless, if you're not going to be pushing papers along, we presume that things will be faster. The state should get, more revenue than it's getting now. Now, as usual with everything, there's two schools of thought. There are those who can't wait for the paperless to start because then it will cut out so many middlemen. And there are those who are thinking, no way, this paperless thing is just going to collapse us. But what's the actual truth? Because we live in a country where we don't make much. Everything in the country, is shipped in. And so the smoother it is, we get the ports working and affordable, we get it working, I think the better it will be for all of us. And so today, when I come back from I'm talking to people who really, really understand what this whole paperless is about, and myself, I need to, be educated about the port saga. My name is Nana Ansakwa IV, Chief of the famous Little Republic of Akwemodumasa. When I come, I am talking to people who are going to explain to us what paperless transactions at the port means. Don't go. Thank you very much. Paperless transactions at the port. Sat right next to me is Carl Saki, who is a product development manager at GCNet. Carl, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
And then also here is Richard Yauche, who's a Customs Deputy Commissioner at Customs, Policy and Programs at the GRA, attached to Customs, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And first of all, let me start with Richard.
Yeah.
Richard, for me and my viewers, and fortunately, I'm also learning a lot about the ports today. So for me and my viewers, before all this computer age, what was the history of clearing goods at the ports before we even come to paperless? Just a short summary to bring us up to date, so that those of us who don't directly import but always hear and talk about can be abreast.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nana. And I have the permission of my Commissioner General and the Commissioner of Customs to express our gratitude to Joy FM, let me say it this way, for this wonderful opportunity.
You're welcome.
Because you're really helping us and our listening public to send our message and possibly get the good feedback that we need. Before paper, before where we got to today, one, shipments were very low in terms of volumes, and therefore it was possible at the time to use the manual system, typically calculators and papers, to clear goods at the port. And so what you did was that the vessel arrived, you make your declaration on a specific form, which we call the customs declaration. You declared your intention in that declaration, saying probably, I am bringing these goods in, I'll put them in a warehouse, I am bringing these goods in, I'm sending them on transit. So essentially, once you make your intentions, then customs took you through what we call the check-in seat to verify that every single bit of information you have provided. Then they take you to what they call the manifest seat, so that we can reconcile the quantities and the volumes the source of the goods, the vessel which brought it in, those other details that confirm the goods. You went through that stage, you paid your duty, and then you finish with what we call the famous long room. All this took place in the long room. Now, once you have satisfied the documentation stage, including paying of duties, then you went into the port, and then you now deal with the port operators, specifically the shipping lines, the terminal operators, and port authority, who check your container, bring your container down for examination. After that, the goods are released to you. So it was a fairly simple system, one, because volumes were not too big, and not everybody was importing. This is the background to where we came from up to today.
I see. And at which point do we start bringing computers in?
Thank you very much. At which point do we start? The issues are two. Once we began interacting with the outside world, then one, people will start demanding that you work according to best practice. So if you interacted with other countries, then they will require that if you bring in goods from their country or sending goods to your country, then you must modernize so that you don't, they'll be able to have information as early as possible. Two, once volumes began increasing in Ghana, and that started around the mid-80s or thereabouts, once volumes began increasing and the economy started expanding, then you couldn't anymore use these manual systems to process documents. But the volumes are big. Again, if it came to inspection, examination, the number of containers was increasing. And so we began looking for efficiency, which we termed customs modernization. Now, customs modernization means that, one, you must streamline the procedures so that they become simpler and easier to follow. Two, you must bring in technology so that some of the controls that we require, like validating cargo that you brought in against what you declared, calculating of duties and taxes, and all that, those other issues are done electronically so that mistakes are eliminated, and then the time it took to do those things could also become faster. So we need control, we need facilitation. So the idea of facilitation has been around since around that time.
Now, the estimated start time is 1st of September.
Yes.
Is all networks, everything set? Have you done a trial run? Would it start 1st September?
It will start 1st September. I can assure you 100%.
Have you done a trial run to make sure a dry run yet?
And I see that I'm smiling. I'll let my colleague know. But I'm smiling broad. I'm smiling very broadly.
Okay, let's go to Carl Saki, GC there. Let me just start from dry run. Have you done the dry run yet?
Yeah, Nana, we've done some tests. Okay. What we have to look at, and good evening to your listeners. First thing we want to do is we have to disaggregate the paperless process. There are many entities that are involved in the paperless process. So you have to take like the issuance of CCVRs. You have to look at manifest processing. We'll look at declaration processing. We'll look at the terminal operations. Okay, so you have to do in booking for examination, booking to have your container positioned for examination, booking to say that I want to take my goods this date because customs has finished, and so all the charges have to be calculated for me to take it, and then the process complete. And so these different components have been tested. Okay, we are doing one first dry run. We're starting tomorrow night. We're doing a full end-to-end test because all these areas, some of them have already been existing. If you take the...
Carl, if you lift your voice for me a bit.
If you take CCVRs, CCVRs as we speak now, we've been using CCVRs for 2 years.
What does this now?
That's the Customs Classification Evaluation Report.
Okay.
So if I want to import any goods, I submit my documents to customs. They will do the valuation, the classification, the risk, and then they submit it electronically to GCNet, and then it goes, sits in a system for you to now pass your declaration, and then the system will do the processing. That already is working, and so that is something that is ongoing. We are not doing any change to that, just incorporating the new risk management features that the government is bringing to bear. The other ones that we've tested, and these tests have already been done, is the booking, particularly with the terminal operations procedure. Right now, if I'm taking my consignment from the port, once customs says that we want to physically examine the consignment, the system electronically sends a message to the terminal operator. We call it the first release. So they get that information electronically and they position the container. What was happening was that the importer has to still come with the paper. The new paperless, you don't have to go there at all with paper. Once they get that message, you, the importer, you are also notified, and you tell them when you want to have the examination done. Then the system also triggers the message for the inspection, the different entities that will be doing the inspection, depending on the consignment you are bringing, and then you do the scheduling. Okay, so that's a new component. The scheduling is a new one. Once customs has finished declaring, and they say we are good to go, goods are released, the system generates what we call the release message. That's the final release. That gets to the terminal operator that customs has finished with you. You are good to pick your consignment out of the port.
So at all these stages, there's no blue, pink sheet, nothing?
Nothing. A pink sheet, we use it only in a particular process. But for this particular one, there's no pink sheet. No. So the system generates this message, and they receive it. The shipping lines and the terminal operators receive these messages. And so the new directive means
there's no going to be a case, your message hasn't come yet, that.
No, we're not going to have that. We're not going to have that. So this message comes, and when the message goes to the shipping line, you, the importer or your agent, also gets the message that the release has been sent to the shipping line. Customs has finished with you. And so it's between you and the shipping line terminal operator where you now go and calculate the charges, how long your goods have been in the port, what facilities you've enjoyed, and then you pay electronically. So you just go online. They send the invoice to you electronically, you pay electronically, and you're home and dry. So we've done a lot of things have been done, and we're doing the integrated test. This tomorrow night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're doing the final awareness sessions, and we're good to go 1st September.
I mean, you sometimes turn up at a bank,
yes,
and the system is gone 4 hours. There's no internet, and the most annoying one is, it will come soon. And I always say, look, so is Christmas. Christmas is also coming soon. So at least give me a time that, by 12 o'clock the system will be up, or 8 o'clock the system will be up. Now at the port where you have all these big ships with all their raiders moving in and out, I mean, how secure a system are you going to have so that, if I need to clear my goods today, some Chinese ship hasn't come to jam some raider, and therefore I can receive my goods?
Okay. Maybe you want to answer that first, and then I'll come to you.
Okay. And thank you very much. Probably let me make one or two comments about what my colleagues. The question you asked. Are we ready to go 1st September? Now let's look, what do we need to go 1st September? So we have said that paperless involves 2 or 3 key components. One, connect all the computer systems of the various institutions which are involved in the port operations, from customs, shipping lines and airlines, port authority, terminal operators, those who actually keep the goods, the containers, before you are ready to come for them. These are the terminal operators. The banking environment, those to whom we pay. Now, so connect all these institutions, and then also connect those government agencies who provide regulation for permits and exemptions for goods which are controlled, pharmaceuticals, the rise, exemptions, and the like. So connect them. That connectivity, he has told you, is virtually done.
It's already existing.
Exactly. And so phase 1 is done. 2, not only the connectivity, the second stage is that provide what we call document management system. That is, that you can receive documents in soft and transmit them and distribute them among the various users. This is existing. We've done. 3, provide a messaging system so that instead of you coming to me personally to make an explanation, or I calling you to come and give you instruction, provide the mechanism so that if I need to communicate to you and ask you for further information or to give you some message, that messaging environment exists. So basically, the 2 core things that you need to do paperless exist. Let's give a percentage of 90, almost 95, 96, 99%. We are just to tune up this thing. Because you asked me this question, can I finish up?
Okay.
Because you asked me this question, I will take opportunity of this program to make one explanation with due respect to you, and also to make a very strong appeal. The other portion of it is our trading public, who we are sensitizing. And so the sensitization is going on as to what they will have to do, the business flow, and other do's and don'ts. So these are where we are now. My appeal, and just give me, even though it's very early in this program, my appeal is that our trading public should not look at paperless, the instruction from the presidency, as instructions for customs, GCNet, West Blue, Port Authority, terminal operators, to put systems in and nothing happen. My appeal is that the object of paperless is, like the Vice President said, we should make the work of clearing very easy. So our responsibility is to provide the platform and the services for you to do soft transmission of documents and messages, so that you don't walk around anyway. Like he said, various options have been given so that you can do payments. We can go, if you choose.
We'll get to the payment. Let me take a quick break, and then we'll come to the payment, because that's all part of making the clearing easy. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we've all been going to school on paperless transaction. But stakeholders, one thing that, we always hear people agitating as stakeholders when you take about the compulsory levy, most things that come in, and then everybody jumps up and say, oh, we were not involved, we haven't been spoken to. Are the unions and the agent unions and all these, aware of what's going on, or are they going to wake up on 1st September and say, look, nobody spoke to us about this, we don't know how it works? Who's best?
Okay,
GCNet,
so
yeah.
I can take from GCNet's perspective. And we're working in this with this project on this project with Customs and West Blue, and different stakeholder sessions have been held. Today, for instance, I know there was a training in Tema for those who are interacting with the terminal operation. So for the users to be able to book the consignment, said that, look, I want to be able to move my consignment. Customs clearing has completed. How to pay. 3 days of training has been held. A new one is starting in Takrady from tomorrow, Saturday. We're going to complete that as well. Additional training has been had for those who will be doing the normal clearance process hasn't changed. If we want to be specific, importers as of now, since 2012, have always been clearing by attaching their documents. So you scan your document, you send it to customs, you send the same documents to the regulatory agency, Standards Authority, Food and Drugs, for permits. Okay, so these things are not new to them. The only new thing is that the government says, we don't want you to walk to the port holding papers. So send it electronically, and the rest of the process will deal with it. Okay, so part of the training we know has already been done because people are used to it. Where there's been uncertainty, when it was like, okay, how am I going to book or schedule examination? Okay, and training for that is been going on as we speak. How am I going to be able to say that now that customs has finished the clearance process, I want to get my stuff out of the port, let me have the invoices so that I can then do the payment electronically. And so we know that this particular process, even though to the outside world, it looks like, hey, there's something big coming up. We've been working on this for a long time. Paperless actually started in 2012.
So it's not new.
It's not new. We started Paperless in 2012. What is happening now is the executive support, and I think that it's important that we commend the government, because if you want to do any initiative like this, if you don't have executive support, it will fail. And so this government has taken the bull by the horn and said that, look, we are going to go. We spend so much money investing in technology. Let's make the best out of it. We are owning it and we are driving it. And so, I mean, it's a tough one where you have to be answerable to the highest office of the land to make sure that you keep to timelines. And that's basically what's going on.
Does it affect Goro boys? Because when I was coming, right, I was trying to get, people on the ground's perspectives. I spoke to two people who can't wait for it to start. They thought, look, to make my work so much easy because it saves me walking up and down. I can sit in the office and do all these things. And he went further to complain that, look, Nana, they don't even pay us too much. So instead of me jumping up and down, I'd rather sit at my desk and do the work. There are some other guys who were, ranting and raving that, no, it's not a good system. So I want to find out from, Richard, why would somebody be happy and why would somebody, what are the advantages or disadvantages?
Nana, you asked a question. Will it affect Goro boys? Yes. I must give you a blunt answer here. Yes. If the definition of Goro boys means people who are not officially engaged to do the business at the port, then the system, if they don't have access to the system, to be included in it because they are not officially authorized to do business there, then they will be affected. I don't have to deceive you. Again, not only Goro boys. If you go to the port, because of the congestion and all kinds of things, you have other kinds of activities going around there. You have people who are cooking around there, who have set up cooking around there. You have people who sleep around there, all kinds of things. Now, we are not asking that it affects them. The central question to ask is, who are the people who are crying? Typically two. The traders whose business it is to bring goods into the country, they are saying that the services we are receiving from port services is poor. Two, the government is saying that, look, because of the malfeasance and all other kinds of irregularities going on in the port, the revenue I should be deriving, looking at the numbers, the volumes of goods that come in, I don't get these revenues. So our primary responsibility in the port business is to those who are there to do legitimate business. We can talk about sympathy for somebody who will not be able to hang around there, but sympathy is different from responsibility and assignment. And so Goro boys did not be there in the first place. Goro boys do not need to be there in the first place. In actual fact, some of the, I'm sorry, but we have to say it openly, some of the irregularities that go on in the port, they are part of it. People pretend to be clearing agents, they come around, they take your documents, either they don't clear the goods for you or they clear and give you some invoices only for you to, some bill only for you to discover later on that these bills have been, I mean, this is not what you should be paying. So if it will streamline and you yourself, like my colleague said, when you do a payment, instead of the agents bringing the receipt to you in paper, which you may not always be able to verify, you can have a look, I mean, you can have it straight on your system and confirm that, yes, I've paid the right thing or not. So let's have sympathy for people who, for the job.
Let me go to Richard. Let's say, multimedia. If we import cameras and stuff, do we have to go through an agent, or this time we can also log and tell GC Nada, listen, we brought in our own cameras, tell me how much it is to pay, and I want to clear it on Friday, or I have to go through an agent?
The law requires that you go through an agent.
Oh, okay. So it's always an agent.
The law requires.
Now, revenue-wise, is it going to boost revenue? Carl?
It is going to boost revenue. I'll tell you why it's going to boost revenue. Part of the paperless on its own doesn't solve problems. What it does is that it streamlines the process. The addition here is the enforcement, or the addition of a new risk management system, which is actually targeting the commodities, it's targeting the importer country where you're bringing your consignment. And so we're building a history of the importer. So we build basically what they call profile. And so then an enhanced valuation. And so we'll be able to actually look at what is going on. You remember the vice president gave an analogy, an example, where he said that there's no reason why I should bring this today, tomorrow I bring the same thing, and the third importation, I'm paying half of what I should have paid. There's something very wrong. And so we are looking for consistency in valuation. By the time all these things have implemented and we've run it over time, revenue should actually go up. Now, revenue would also go up because the port is no longer going to be a bottleneck. There's not going to be any bottleneck there, where I can move goods out of the port quickly, and Ghana will be attractive for people bringing in consignment. Because if it takes me a day to get my goods out of Tema Port, and I have to go to a neighboring country and it will take me 1 week, I'll bring it to Tema Port. Because you look at the time savings. Time, we know, is money. And so that's what the government is looking at. We also know that Meridian Port Service is expanding. They're building a new terminal, a new port, and they expect that they'll be bringing in a lot of containers. That investment will go to waste if we don't implement such reforms, because we won't be able to get the consignment out of the port on time, and they would have sunk money. Ghana would have a very bad rating, and so this actually is good. We need to do this, let it become a way of life. We talk about Rwanda and other places. We can do the same here, and that's what this is all about.
This risk assessment thing sounds interesting. Now, those who shop in Sainsbury's, now if you shop regularly in Sainsbury's, you can take your basket, you pick your own thing, and then tell the cashier that, listen, I bought £60 worth of stuff, and they take it and go because they know you regularly. Are you running a system where if I bring in rice on a regular basis, you now, give me some trust that, listen, Nana is always bringing rice. It's the same 40-footer container, and therefore pay and quickly go?
That's basically what's going to happen to you. And so the call for the port to allow you to be able to clear within 4 hours will become reality once we have your history.
4 hours?
Yeah, 4 hours.
Wow.
You see, the thing is, we have the pre-arrival assessment reporting system, which Customs is operating, and that's been implemented by West Blue, but we're all integrated. And what they're saying is that submit your documents to us way ahead of arrival of the goods. Okay, so if you wait for the ship to come today before you submit your goods, don't think about 4 hours. It's not going to happen to you. Submit it way ahead of time. They'll do the risk assessment. They have your previous history, and based on that, they'll say, we know Nana. Nana, this is what he brings all the time. Look, just scan, and the consignment normally is scanned even before it's moved to the off-dock terminal. So they send that information. Once you've scanned, we analyze it. There's nothing wrong. Release. So Nana pays his consignment. The system automatically does the rest of the stuff. Nana's consignment is released. It is possible.
Again, one thing here is about this quote and unquote 17 tables where the goods come and then I have to take it from table 1 to table 2 to table 3 to table 4. Richard, is this paperless going to limit the number of tables, or how are we going to solve it?
Now let's look at it. Let's probably try to draw a very simple. Let me give you a very short overview of the system. We are saying that when you bring your imports, submit your documents to the first point of call, which we call the customs valuation system. Submit all your documents to that place, that center. It's a customs head office. Now, We do the valuation for you. Once the valuation is completed, the computer system moves the document which he mentioned earlier on, the valuation report. The computer system moves it by itself into the GCMS, the customer management system managed by GCNet, moves it there. There is a risk assessment. Now the risk says that, oh, okay, your rating is so low, and so we don't need to open the container. So you go and get released. The rating is high, we will go and then physically open the container. Mm-hmm. This is exactly how the system is going to work. And so the 17 tables have virtually disappeared by virtue of the computer system which moves documents and messages. The 17, the steps are actually about 20 something. So you have mentioned 17 tables.
So I've even cut it short by 10.
Yes.
Exactly. So
wow.
So then the steps move.
So what's this aspect of joint inspection then?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, what we are saying joint inspection is that currently we have what we call a joint inspection consultative committee, something like that. Now, what happens with this is that almost all the institutions, I'll mention them, customs, in some cases Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, National Security, BNI, all of them converge on the consignment, and then nearly everybody takes some sample. Now, a sample can be anything. A sample can be one. If it's fish, it can be 1 carton or 2 cartons. And so when the first part of the joint inspection is that let's look at the goods that we have we import. Let's do a table of which agencies have interest in the goods by responsibility. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you import pharmaceuticals, naturally Food and Drugs Authority will be interested. Mm-hmm. But if you import cables, Food and Drugs Authorities aren't not mandated to work on cables in the port. So when we're saying joint inspection, what we're really saying is that the system will notify those institutions which are by law to do some work on those goods. Only they will be involved in that. So joint inspection doesn't mean that every and all institutions will be involved. Only the institutions will be involved. 2, the joint inspection doesn't mean that all of them must be part of opening of the container. For all you know, Food and Drugs Authority, their interest is to be sure that the goods meet specs. And so we take samples and they are okay with the specs. So joint inspection is not saying that everybody, every institution.
Only those who are interested in the process. And they'll be there at the same time.
At the same time.
Okay, because I think the same time is what is exciting people, rather than I come and check, tomorrow he comes to check, and then the other guy says, look, I'll check next week. But this time, they all should check.
Natural fact, there is a login, we are providing a login system in which you log in that I was notified this examination is taking place at this time. You were there, you log in that you were there. If you were not there, then we conduct the inspection, and if you're part of the responsibility you have performed, you were not there to do it, we will not hold the importer. You didn't perform yours, so you answer for it.
We'll take a quick break and we are coming back. It's amazing that, the show doesn't stop. We just go for a break, but behind the scenes, we're still talking. One of the things that, the 2 things that I want to find about is security and international aspect. Because I may be in Burkina Faso and I'm just using Tema just because the ship can come to Burkina Faso. I mean, so in that case, what then happens to this paperless business?
Yeah, okay. Nana, thank you very much. I'll start with the Burkina Faso example. I think that a month ago, or a little over a month ago, Ghana Customs in the whole of the sub-region and Cote d'Ivoire actually exchange data electronically.
Okay.
So if you're a transitor and you're bringing your consignment through the Tema port and you're going to Cote d'Ivoire, Once you clear from the thermal port, the custom system automatically sends that information to Cote d'Ivoire.
So they are waiting for it?
Yeah, they are waiting for it. They don't need your paper anymore. They know the entry.
And it's still ongoing?
It's ongoing.
Okay.
So we even implemented paperless between two countries. Now, customs, we know, is actually working to get Burkina Faso, and then we'll look at Togo, so we can have the same type of connectivity there. That is actually a very fantastic thing.
Carl,
that
it's
can be
sounding
done.
very sweet. Is it one of those things that are just sweet, but is it actually agroniform? Is it actually
no,
in the
no,
ground?
it's real life as we talk now. We had the people from Abidjan. They were in Ghana for 6 weeks doing a lot of testing. We had people, he was part of the team. They went to Cote d'Ivoire, then they came to commission it, and it's actually working. So if you send any transit consignment from Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire, immediately you get to, before you get to the border, they've already, yes, even from Aflao, once it enters Ghana and is going to Cote d'Ivoire, the system sends it to them. Reverse happens. If you are bringing anything from Cote d'Ivoire into Ghana, we have it in the system. So the Ivorian system pushes that declaration to the customs system, and Ghana Customs knows what you're bringing. So you don't need to bring an invoice. The invoice that you've given to Ivorian Customs is applicable here. So it is possible, and it is actually ongoing.
Now, you see, I can imagine, even though I say, I haven't personally dealt with the port, I can imagine, somebody who wakes up in the morning, bruh, let me help you out. Give me the paper, and I'll take it to NHIS. I'll pay for you. Now give me another 50 cedis. I'll take it to BNI, pay for you. Now give me another 100 cedis. I'll take it to that desk, how many desks ever I have to take to. And that's his job till 5 o'clock. Say, yeah, that's it. Go and take your goods and go away. And probably even at the gate, he has connections there. Yeah. So if you bring this paperless, where now I don't physically come to the port for him to take my paper from table to get 50 cedis to 50 cedis, then my first aim is to attack the system so that I will be of importance. So, GCNet.
No, the system is robust. Let me first explain. We are following best practice. Okay. Best practice means that I need to have duplicate copies of every system. So I have a redundant system somewhere, real time. If I do a transaction on the primary system, it automatically is replicated to backup site, so that if, God forbid, something happens here, we can continue transactions. The second thing is that you have the backup power supply, generators and all that. But with regards to the security aspect, we do penetration testing. We do audits. We have backup links to those places. What I want to emphasize is that customs network that we've built across the country is not over the internet. It's a private network. Okay. So it's not one of those networks that I can go online and I just go into the internet. I want to see Ghana Customs and try to access. No, it is private. That's why we have had security. You've had security incidents happen across, and Ghana Customs has been safe. It is deliberate. GCNet is public-private partnership. Government owns almost 40%. Okay. Our neck is on the line if something happens to government systems. I mean, we are considered a national security infrastructure. We take it serious. We're also ISO 27000 certified, which is more for information security. So we look at information systems, how you secure you are. We are certified in that, and we have trained people to do that. Of course, you have the firewalls and everything. But we try to adopt best practice whatever we do, and that gives customs and the government that assurance. Having said that, look, we also have institutions where you have instances where people would like to see, can I test the system? And so sometimes we look at firewall logs. You see people trying to access the network from external, that's particularly the internet-facing side of things. We look at all these things. But because of the technology architecture we implemented, we don't have, we are not worried. Because one of the things you know is that your Mac, for instance, every day Apple will come up with an update to say there's some security update. If you don't update it and there's a compromise, you would be affected. So we follow these things. Anytime there's an update, we also implement it. But whatever we do before we put into production, so these new developments that we're doing to take care of these new the directive paperless, We are testing with GRA Customs. We make sure it meets all the standards before we put into production, because there has to be a sign-off that I have seen the system work the way it should. So go ahead, and the commissioner or his representative will sign before GSNet can even go ahead and implement the changes. So that's the kind of structure that we have. And security, we know we're working, and we make sure it is up to scratch.
Now, customs, this is not paperless, but let me divert small and come back. I mean, sometimes the charges are just, you know, astronomical. It's otherwise everybody is trying to find a guru boy to see if they can get a cheaper charge from somewhere. I mean, is there any possible you bring it down a little bit so that we all are happy to pay, and then you get that revenue that you want?
Thank you very much. This morning I was asked this very same question. and
this evening you're being asked again.
Nana was at that forum.
Yes, I was asked this very same question, and the answer is very simple. The duties that we charge are government policy. Now, we charge duty, one, based on the value of the goods. The value has nothing to do with government. The value is that you bring in the goods, we use the valuation principles to determine the value which we use for custom purposes.
It's your valuation principles there. I mean, somebody can bring a $500 car, it gets to Accra, and the value on it is like $4,000, and you think, where did you get this value from? It's a 15-year-old banger, as they call it. When it gets to Accra, some of the values you get.
And I'll finish and then get there very quickly.
Okay.
And so we base the value, the item you are bringing, and the types of charges, and the rate which applies, the rate that the rate, the value, the rate of duty, and then the base on which the duty is calculated. That is one. The second one that you are asking me is, let me make one comment on vehicle.
We have 3 minutes, so
exactly.
Zip it through.
Vehicles, we in Ghana have tried all forms of there is no international standard for valuing vehicles. We have developed a system which we presented at WCO. It was accepted as acceptable, applicable, and so what we are using. And so we will not be able to do anything with government policy about charges. The other part of it is that sometimes we collect levies for some other institutions who normally should be collecting this thing. We collect some levies for Shippers Authority, some levies for some of these institutions. This is what appears on the bill. And so this morning what I said is that we can have a discussion. If we take those ones away so that you get only the customs duty that you are supposed to pay on the bill.
I'll bring you in so that we talk about it, but internationally, there's always the blue book, the glasses guide, the green book. There are all these international valuations, and every month they are produced, every single month, every single car that's ever produced, there's a valuation. So we'll come and find out where you get yours from.
I'll be very grateful.
Yes, but let me go to Carl. Carl, if we all buy into this paperless thing,
Yes.
We are home and dry, or?
Nana, if we buy into the paperless process, we are home and dry. We're going to reduce congestion at the port. You sit in your office, and the only time you have to go to the port is when the goods are going to be physically examined. If there's no physical examination, you don't have to be there.
Only when you're going to take them out?
Yeah, you don't have to be there, because your agent can send the truck. These are the containers, blah, blah, blah. Because if it's going through the scanner and they're not opening the consignment, there's no point in you being there. The shipping line knows your containers, and the truck goes and they'll load it, and then they give their way bill and it will come out. It's only physical examination that by law you have to be present when
you can pay by Visa card.
You are paying electronically. You can track the consignment electronically. You don't have to go to the port. So,
well, paperless transactions at the port by 1st of September. It sounds very, very good, and we'll get them back in by, let's say, 10th of September, 11th September. I think 11th is a Monday. So we'll get them back on 11th September to find out that 1 week into paperless transaction, what's happening, what's being the bottleneck, what's being the challenges. But so far, it sounds like a fairy tale, and we love fairy tales. So let's hope that this fairy tale comes into being, because I just love to sit in my office and just get my consignment without chasing Goro boys from one to the other. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
To you at home, as I always say, tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. And thank you for watching.